All right, so we suck again. Let's talk about it.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Kunitz and shot. Penguins win it! Sees part for Crosby to the goal. He scores!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
And on Fane, the shot. He scores! Here's Crosby with a burst of speed up the middle. Gets open and scores!
They're a collective.
Andy Kyoto is beating Ninamaki's brains in. What a show!
After a 6-game winning streak, the Pittsburgh Penguins fall back into their old habits, absolutely sucking. And we're going to talk about it today. The Penguins had back-to-back games Saturday, Sunday against the Flames and the Bruins, and once again seemed flat. They seemed dead. They seemed like they weren't playing with any energy and they weren't getting anything done. They couldn't get anything on the power play. They couldn't score on the 5-on-5. Everyone looked stagnant. Even Malkin, coming off of injury, looked bad. Josh, what is the problem with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and were they frauds for the last 6 games?
It's tough to pin it down to one item as to being the overarching issue with the Penguins right now with this 2-game losing streak. But you have to kind of wonder if they were just a product of their schedule. A majority of those 6 wins were against opponents coming off of a back-to-back. So they had fresh legs against a team who didn't have fresh legs, essentially. So we were able to essentially just impose our will on those teams, and we were averaging somewhere around 4 goals a game against those teams. So you have to kind of wonder if it really was a product of the schedule, and just once we got on a couple game winning streak, we're playing so often that we're able to just keep the momentum going. After those 6 games, we had essentially 3.5 days off leading up to Calgary, and that's where we fell flat. So maybe it was momentum left us after the 3-day break, but you would think that would be something where they can regain their legs after having six games in practically consecutive sessions, and now we just fall 2 straight. Like you said, we'll be coming back home. Three games at home. See if we can bounce back that way. But it is not looking good. They do not look like the cohesive team that we saw during that 6-game win streak. You have to wonder if Rust and McGroarty being out right now is a concern. And I honestly, in January, I was not going to guess that Rust and Rucker were going to be the linchpin to this lineup. But apparently, that's where we are in January 2026.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that obviously the Penguins were winning 6 games in a row. Now, we had a 3-day break, played the Devils on a Thursday, and that was Malkin's first game back. And the Penguins still had this momentum rolling. Now, you started to see some things that just weren't right against the Devils. We obviously had basically we played better in the game, but it wasn't like the previous 5. Now, the previous 5, Malkin was not part of the team. I am not saying Malkin is an issue. All I'm trying to say is when guys come back from an injury and it takes them a couple seconds to get in the lineup again, get back into the routine of playing, it kind of shakes up some roster here, especially a guy like Malkin, who is such a big name. He's got to be on the second line. We're not going to put him on the third line. God knows we're not touching the fourth line. So it's kind of like, what do we do with Malkin? We put him on the second line. He can't be a center, so we got to put him on a wing. Does that affect the Pittsburgh Penguins at all? the fact that the lines got shaken up, that there's not really much of a consistency in the lineup, that maybe that's what the difference is between the 5 games and the last 3.
I mean, you'd have to think. I mean, like you said, with Malkin coming back, you start to change up the lines. We no longer got, the kid line or, the young line, as you will, even though like we implemented Chinikov in there, still young enough to be considered a kid line. But then that got switched up with Malkin coming in. And then most recently, with Rust being out, it then gets flipped on its head again. Trying to rotate his position up on the top line with Crosby. But yeah, it's difficult. It is, but it's part of the job. We talk about it on the live streams. Like this is it's professional hockey. You got to find a way to play with the guys that are on your line. Find a way to make it work. If it doesn't feel cohesive, then there'll be a way to make a play once or twice, a period where you can just have a moment and make something work. But for some reason, these last couple of games, they haven't been able to get anything going. And if it wasn't for our power play against the Devils, we probably could have lost that game. So
that is true.
We've mentioned it. You can't fully rely on special teams to get you wins every game. You're going to have to find a way to play 5-on-5. And these last couple of games, they can't do it. So it'll be a huge test tonight against Tampa Bay and the rest of the week to see how they respond to this, because it's now time to answer the bell and don't allow this 2-game skid to become 8 like we did a couple weeks ago. It's not the time to do this. We cannot hit the roller coaster mid-January heading towards the Olympic break in February.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of right now, our church is doing a wide fast. Everyone is kind of picking and choosing how they want to do their fast. And me and Abby have chosen to do from 2 o'clock every day till the next day. So kind of maybe like intermittent fasting, kind of like that kind of situation. So that's what we're doing. Now, we kind of crumbled a little bit the last couple days, 2 days. We struggle. We're like, listen, I got to eat. We got to eat. We got to figure it out. But what we're doing is getting back on the horse. Yeah, we messed up. We couldn't keep it consistent. But you know what? We're starting fresh and we picked it back up. This is exactly what the Penguins are doing. This doesn't mean they're a bad hockey team. This doesn't mean we can't get back on that horse of winning 6 straight, no matter who the opponent is, because we did play some good teams during that 6-game stretch. But it reminds me a lot of that. Yeah, you have a plan. You messed up for a couple days. You didn't have the energy you thought. You didn't have the consistency. You didn't have all the stuff that you thought you would. But there's nothing that's stopping you from getting back to that. So that is kind of how I'm feeling right now. Yeah, these 2 games absolutely destroyed us. I think it was a lot of mental lapses. I think it was a lot of mental errors, a lot of forced passing, a lot of bad decision making. It's okay. They can change. And I think that's where we need to turn it to. We need to turn to what can we do to get better. And I think what it is stop trying to force things that aren't there. Sometimes the easiest way, the most simple plan is the best plan. I think when you play your game, when you rely on your wingmates, the Penguins find a way to win. And unfortunately, they weren't doing that the last couple games. They were just sluggish. They were forcing, like I said. Maybe simple is better to get back on the horse. Josh, what are some other options besides playing a simple game? Could the Penguins get better this next 3 home game stretch?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of nailed it with the simple, kind of the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Love it.
You can go to the old Mike Sullivan isms of get pucks deep and get shots on net, get bodies in front. we kind of just need a bounce to go our way. We need bodies in front. We need a grimy goal. We need to break through, because it's just, I feel like if we get one, we can get two, and then it'll be an avalanche from there. It's just a matter of getting that first one, getting over the hump, playing our game, and that will lead to success. I mean, every time that we kind of need a goal, when we get one, it's usually off of a give and go. You know, I think of the Malkin and Chinakhov goal with Calgary, where Chinakhov enters the zone with the puck, passes it to Malkin, and Malkin gives it back to Chinakhov for a one-timer that goes in the back of the net. We need something like that allows for, you know, some energy, some juice, you know, get the you know, we'll be home, so get the crowd rocking and build momentum from there. You mentioned it on the live stream after the Boston game, thank you, against Boston, where we were waiting for momentum to come to us. We need to take the momentum. We need to make a play, make something happen where we are just not just sitting back and saying, oh, here's momentum. We need to go out and grab the momentum. And I think that you put that perfectly, because if we're able to do that, I think that will lead to a dirty goal. Puck is bouncing around, sticks are just flying around, and then it's actually ours that puts it in the back of the net instead of theirs that clears it away. So it's just one of those needs to go our way, and then I think from there, slowly but surely, I think the avalanche will then come, and you'll just see goals that, Lord willing, will lead to wins. Because I hate when we get 4, 5, 6 goals and we don't win, because that drives me bonkers. It's just
or we have
wasted.
a lead and we blow that.
Oh, don't
That's
get me
even
started
worse.
with the blown lead.
Yeah,
yes,
100%. At least these were just kind of, you know, bad losses rather than leads that we had. And we blew. But another hockey or Sullivan-ism is holding the stick too tight. We're gripping the stick way too tight.
Good.
And I think the Penguins would agree with this. That every Penguin player would say, we're gripping the stick way too tight. As soon as that dumb, sloppy goal, whatever you want to call it, you know, weak goal, maybe we could start loosening the grip on the sticks. Maybe we could start going back to our game. And maybe that's what the Penguins need. Just a goal that makes no sense, but it finds the back of the net, and we can kind of get that monkey off our back and kind of just play our game. But that is the ultimate goal. I think we just need to get back to our game and get back to how we were playing during that 5-6 game winning streak. Also, got to give a huge shout out to our fourth line for consistently playing well through all these wins and losses. And shout out to our new goalie, Stuart Skinner, who's had the last 3 games prior to his loss in Boston. But he had 3 wins. He came into Boston, and he still played well. He didn't, granted, it was a 1-0 game, so it wasn't like a massive blowout. It's not like he let in 500 goals. He stood his ground. It was a weak goal that they scored, but he still played well. As long as our fourth line is still going, as long as our goaltenders are playing well, as long as we try to find that sloppy, that gross, that just weak goal that we can get in, I think the Penguins can get back on track.
All right, guys, so that'll do it for this episode. Let us know what you think. We want to hear from you. Are we about to go for a 2-week losing streak, or are we bouncing back tonight against Tampa? It is up to you. We want to hear from you. Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Pens Collective. We will be going live after every game, so join us on any of those social media platforms. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button. We appreciate you. Louie, as always,
let's go Pens.
It's Crosby on
baby. Are you kidding me?
We're a collective.